welcome to Monkey's World. First of all, last night's video, excuse me, the audio fouled up again. I don't know why that keeps happening. It keeps happening. Hopefully this will go better. I need to write some shows today. Last night before the video fouled out, or after the video fouled out, I was telling you about our video vault. The art video vault, let me show it to you. It's actually really cool. I had canceled 2 other streaming services because I wasn't using them, and this was $3 less than the 2 combined. So, and it's coming out of my PayPal, so it's not affecting my budget one way or the other anyway for a while. So that's the vault. I will put a link to it in the description. These are the categories. These are the categories over here on this side. It's pretty easy to navigate. Now the way that our video started, come on, mic here. There. The way that our video started was with a young man named Rob Feinstein. Sorry. Why it's called RF Video. He and several of his college buddies, I think there were 5 altogether, came up with this entrepreneurial idea to make tape trading a business. See, at that time, in the early 90s, tape trading was big. And in wrestling, tape trading was where maybe your buddy got a tape out of Japan that he was excited about, and you got a tape out of Mexico, some lucha libre you were excited about, or some indie promotion that you were excited about, and you traded them. So he watched your tape, you watched his tape, and so on it went. So they figured out a way to take tape trading to a different level. They were actually selling the tapes that people had been trading. They were manufacturing copies of the tapes that they had traded over the years. They eventually became the distributor for Extreme Championship Wrestling, which helped them get money. Eventually, one member of the team, Gabe Sapolsky, came up with Ring of Honor Wrestling, which became their own wrestling after ECW went under. Excuse me. Gabe ran Ring of Honor for quite a while, and then Ring of Honor was sold. But it continued to thrive because it was a unique product. Our video continued to thrive on its own until the very early 2000s, what they call the noughties, which are, in any decade, the noughties are the 0 to 10. Naught means 0. Not NUGHD means 0. So, during that time period, the original founder of our video, Rob Feinstein, was caught in a very bad situation. The company that was used by Dateline to catch a predator, because they were doing it on their own anyway, in one of their, on their own, caught Rob trying to meet somewhere between 12 and 14-year-old little boy for sex. Yeah. That didn't go over well with promoters who were, particularly like TNA, who were allowing their guys to work for Ring of Honor as well as for them. So TNA put a kibosh. The guys understood, but at the same time they were disappointed. Rob resigned from Ring of Honor and from our video. You will still hear Rob in some of the videos by name, but there were two Robs in the founding of our video. It was also Gabe Sapolsky and two other guys. I believe it's 5 altogether. And it's still thriving business, but they went from videotapes and a catalog about, I don't even know if I can show you how big, yeah, about that big, to DVDs, to digital, which is where we are now. Wish they had better customer service availability, because I really would like to talk to someone about what happened with the Christopher Daniels shoot interview. The original Christopher Daniels shoot interview, which I bought digitally for $10, and it kept freezing, so I kept having to redo it. And you're only allowed to do that so many times, even though you bought it. I should have been able to go on my laptop and download it, but they said, nope, you've restarted it too many times. Excuse me? I own it. So, I called them, but I never got a response. So, today my plan is to write October. This is that case that I was telling you about. I'm already in the process of writing that case. I also have October updates finally started. One of our unidentified August cases was actually identified. So that's pretty exciting. Look for that in October's updates. So, what I wanted to do beyond that is to and Ring of Honor is now owned by AEW. The pandemic really took a toll on them because they were owned by a small television media company, and they just couldn't recover. Anyway, the other thing I want to do is I just want to talk to you briefly about my history with wrestling. I started watching wrestling with my dad. I love wrestling. I fell in love with it watching it with my dad. And we would go to shows together. It's pretty cool. One of my earliest memories of a live show was they had this crazy battle royal, and Bobby Heenan thought he had won it because he kind of like stayed outside till everybody threw everybody out and got back in the ring staring at. And all of a sudden Moolah comes up behind him, drop kicks him over the top rope, and Moolah wins the battle royal. So that's one of my earliest live memories, you know. And of course, Worcester Centrum was where we went. It was fun, you know. later on, my cousin had a girlfriend who worked at Centrum, so I was able to get like second row seats, which was really cool, especially when I was so obsessed with Shawn Michaels. Loved Shawn, and he was always sweet to me. No matter what was going on with him, he was always sweet to me. So I appreciate that. Met some other guys too while I was there at ringside. I discovered as I watched wrestling that the good guys would always say that they loved their fans and that the fans were important, and you know, it was like, because I was picked on so much, hey, there's somebody that, you know, outside of mom and dad, they care about me, you know, and that's so cool, you know, and I can't thank professional wrestling enough for getting me through, you know. And I can remember being in high school at an absolutely miserable summer job for the neighborhood youth corps. It was a job they had for both the very poor and for the handicapped. You know, those are disabilities. I have a disability, so I qualified. And this thing was a disaster. It's a whole other can of worms, but it was a disaster. But I would come home every day, turn on ESPN, and watch the Old World Class. And later it became USWA. And it was my escape. Wrestling was always my escape. Wrestling and books. Those were the two things that helped me escape from what I was going through at school. And I had a friend in school who loved wrestling too. Hi, Scotty. And so we would read magazines and talk about WrestleMania and all that stuff. And I remember all the kids getting excited because a few of the boys were going to see, I believe it was WrestleMania 3 on closed circuit. So they were going to the arena to see it, but they were going to see it on closed circuit. At the Centrum, I believe. Maybe not. It might have been a different arena, actually. But they were going, and they were so excited about that. To me, it was like, okay. You know, I knew the atmosphere was different in the arena. But I didn't know whether, I wasn't jealous at all, because I didn't even know whether I'd enjoy watching it that way, like watching it as a movie theater type experience. I watched it at home. So, it was WrestleMania 3. It might have been 2. Yeah, I was still in elementary school, so it must have been WrestleMania 2, where they were doing the 3 different arenas thing. Gotta give Vince McMahon a lot of credit for that one. You know, I may not like to give Vince a whole lot of credit, but I have to give him credit for that, because that was a logistical nightmare that he somehow pulled off. I'm sure with a lot of help, but I'm sure a lot of people also told him, sir, with all due respect, you're nuts. You know, when he came up with that goofy idea, but paid off. Excuse me. But yeah, it was, and then talking about it afterwards, and wrestling was very popular at that time, but basically among the boys. Girls weren't really into it then. I was kind of the only girl I knew that was into it until the early 90s, early to mid 90s. After I got out of high school, I started looking up online with girls who actually were into wrestling. I became friends with several girls and pen pals, several girls that were actually into wrestling, so that was pretty cool. One of my friends, her name was Liz. She was in college at the time because we were the same age, and she ran the Dean Malenko fan page. I am telling you, her fan page is what encouraged me and gave me the drive to make a fan page of my own. And my first fan page was Chris Benoit. And then I made, right after that, I made Kid Missing, the actual website, which I believe is in the links in the description. And I took the message board that I had made for the Benoit page and turned it into the Kid Missing message board. The Benoit page obviously is gone now. I turned it into a little tribute, and then, to the three of them, and then that wasn't a Google page. Crap, I can't remember what it was. But that page where I had the free site stopped doing free sites anyway, so it's gone. And I can't remember now. But if you want to see the page, go to the Wayback Machine. And you can actually see my Rabid Wolverine page. It's pretty cool. So, and I would imagine you could see Liz's Dean Malenko page there as well. And like I said, I was just so impressed with the page and what she did with it that I wanted to do it myself. And at that time, thanks to my friend Wendy, I had to learn a little bit of HTML, which I did. I know how to put up a picture in HTML, a link in HTML, that sort of thing. Don't need it anymore. Because Google does not require it. It writes the HTML for you, you just tell it what you're doing. You can choose to do that, but why would you want to take the extra time when you don't have to? My other wrestling pages that I have now are The Addiction, Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian, which I will probably update later today. Then a couple updates to put there. I don't update weekly anymore because there really aren't weekly updates necessarily. I have, oh gosh, excuse me, my Roddy Piper page, which is now just a tribute. Excuse me. I have it. My Jericho page, which also needs to be updated. I also have a Good Eats Alton Brown page, which again doesn't get updated all the time because it doesn't always have updates. But you can see on that page what I've done is I've made sub pages for the regular cast members. I update what they're doing. Update Alfred's tour. All sorts of things on there. So I do have a few sites. I also have some Facebook pages. My most successful Facebook group has well over 1,000 members, and that is the Boy in the Box, America's Unknown Child. Excuse me. There is also a Facebook page for this little boy, which when I put the video up in October, I will link it in the description of that video, of course. This, by the way, is the donut work. So that for me was, like I said, how I got into wrestling, why I stayed. There was a time period when I was really out of the loop. It had gone in such a different direction that I just couldn't get into it. I wish that I had turned on TNA more and understood what the X division was. I had seen an Ultimate X match or two, and back in the day, and I remember seeing them climb up on these ropes across in X across above the ring, and blood, and I just remember thinking, oh great, it's another X division, meaning I thought it meant extreme, meaning hardcore, blood guts wrestling. Well, that's not what the X division was. In that case, X division meant X factor, like as in guys that could do things that you would go, how did the human body even do that, in the ring? Especially when you see Samoa Joe take a flying leap and barrel roll over the top rope. Samoa Joe, 280 pounds, 6 feet tall, barrel rolls over the top rope, and it's like, how do you even do that, Joe? It wasn't about, and the other part of X is no limits, meaning no weight limits. It wasn't about extreme, like ECW extreme, which is what I had thought when I first heard X Division and Ultimate X and all that. No. I was wrong, and I freely admit it. And I wish that I had really given TNA more of a chance. I mean, I saw some of their earlier, that was kind of in the middle, but some of their earlier stuff, and I really liked it. It really felt like old wrestling, and I should have continued with it. But at the time, the Monday Night Wars were going on. Oh no, they weren't. Monday Night Wars were over then. That was 2002 when they started. I'm trying to think. There was a reason. And I wasn't watching much of WWE at that time because, well, actually, I stopped watching about the time Chris Benoit died because I was just disgusted with the whole thing. And the wrestling itself went downhill. And like I said, I should have been watching TNA at that time. I really should have been. And I don't know why I wasn't. I guess I assumed they were like ECW. And ECW towards the end was way, way out there for me. Because I used to watch ECW at the middle of the night on Saturday nights. And they had some great wrestling. They went too far to the extreme championship wrestling part of it at some point, but they also had some great wrestling. So I really did enjoy it. But I wasn't one of these fans of hardcore. Okay, let me try to explain something. There are hardcore wrestling fans of hardcore blood and guts wrestling, and then there are hardcore wrestling fans. A hardcore wrestling fan is someone who is a true dyed-in-the-wool wrestling fan, which is what I am. I prefer the older stuff myself. I don't watch much WWE. I do watch AEW. I like AEW a lot. I actually went to Ring of Honor. When I got back into wrestling, I got back into Ring of Honor. And I got into and moved to AEW with the Ring of Honor guys. Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian and the Bucks and Cody and Kenny and that whole group. The only thing I was disappointed about was that, oh crap. Why can't I remember his name? The Englishman that Christopher scratch that. The Christopher Daniels was feuding with at the time wasn't able to come over because he still had a contract. I don't know where he is now since the pandemic, but I'll put his name in the description because I will look it up because it's driving me crazy. Anyway, he was one of my favorites in terms of both in-ring and personality and everything, and I was kind of disappointed he wasn't going with the group, especially seeing how he was such a big part of their group, the Elite, which was born out of the Bullet Club, because these were all Bullet Club members. They couldn't use Bullet Club because that was owned by the Japanese, so they had to come up with their own name, and they became the Elite. I will link AEW's website, which has links to their YouTube on it, and the Being the Elite YouTube as well in this description, which I should write down. I'm going to write that down because I will not remember to do that if I don't write it down. And as you've seen, I can forget. Wait. Whoops. Link. AEW site BTE YouTube. I think that I may venture out today and actually take you to Manchok. Wasn't going to, but oh my gosh, it is an absolutely gorgeous day. So that's what I'm thinking. What I will do though, I will bring extra batteries, obviously. What I will do is put you in the bag and take you out at certain times during the journey, because it's a longer walk and I don't want to kill my battery before I ever get there to tell you the story. So that's what I'm going to do. But I am going to end this video because I want to eat and get ready before I go. So I'm going to thank you so much for listening to more of my wrestling stories and rants. And I'm so sorry that yesterday's video got so messed up. Thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you later. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and that bell for your notifications if you enjoy my content, and I sure hope you do. God bless you, and bye-bye.